fremde Begriff sein wird, sondern ein alle gemeinsam verbindender. Und dass insbesondere keiner mehr dann in Deutschland leben wird, der in der Arbeit der Faust Minderes sehen wird als in irgendeiner anderen Arbeit. Durch eure Schule wird die ganze Nation gehen. Die Zeit wird kommen, da kein Deutscher hineinwachsen kann. Der nicht erst durch eure Gemeinschaft gegangen ist.
Lebensborn, a top-secret SS program whose goal was to scientifically breed a master race of pure Aryan humans. Begun in December of 1935 by Heinrich Himmler, head of the SS, Lebensborn was developed with the idea that pure German blood should be preserved for the future of the race. Himmler would acquire and create thousands of children through the Lebensborn program. But after the war, these children would have to face their past. Lebensborn. The German translation means wellspring or source of life. Its central theme is eugenics. Parents with acceptable traits would produce children, also with those desired traits. To continue Adolf Hitler's vision of the Thousand-Year Reich, the continuation of the German race was placed in Himmler's hands. Heinrich Himmler's zealotry regarding racial eugenics and purification started much earlier than 1935. Establishing himself as Reichsfuhrer and leader of the SS, he became the figurehead of Hitler's racial fanaticism. Himmler believed it was his duty to rescue Germany from cultural and racial oblivion. Himmler's SS men were the racial elite of German society. These soldiers created, defined, and implemented Nazi racial policy. In Himmler's eyes, the SS embodied the future ruling class of the Thousand-Year Reich. To the Nazis, being a good German citizen means only one thing: Aryan, without a trace of Jewish ancestry. These ideal Germans were tall, with blonde hair and blue eyes. Still, this Nordic race had intermarried over the years, which explained how some strains were short and squat in stature, with dark hair and dark eyes. Although neither Hitler nor Himmler embodied these desired traits, they still insisted the Nazis weed out these inferior strains and eventually end up with a purely Nordic race. Himmler created this organization to provide financial help to large SS families, as well as extend maternity services to racially valuable women, stating the homes were for the brides and wives of our young SS men, and secondly, for the illegitimate mothers of good blood. Germany's countryside, spotted with small idyllic villages not far away from major cities such as Hamburg and Munich. It was in these small villages that Himmler established Lebensborn homes throughout Germany and other occupied countries. As the number of expectant mothers grew, so did the number of Lebensborn homes. These children, now in their 50s and 60s, are living symbols of Heinrich Himmler's plan for a master race. To them, these places hold a much darker meaning to their sometimes agonizing past. Helga Karau and Bernard Zimmermann are two Lebensborn children who have endured the pain of learning about their Nazi past, both continuing a lifelong journey of reconciliation and acceptance. It is through their words and memories that we can begin to understand how Lebensborn affected their lives.
My name is Helga Karau. I was born near Munich at the first Lebensbornheim in Steinhöring in 1941. It was difficult then when I was discovered the rules. and the meaning of Lebensborn, the SS home, that I was born in this secret SS organization to create the Iron Race. That was difficult. My mother told me at school to say that I was born in Munich. Steinhöring, for the teachers knew what Steinhöring was, but not me. My mother made a great mystery of my birth. She was 85 when she died, and she never told about Lebensborn.
Helga Karau is one of few Lebensborn children who eventually came to know both of her birth parents. She, unlike most of these children, had some connection to her roots. Bernard Zimmermann lives a short distance north, just outside Hamburg, in a small village called Bendisdorf. His personal journey goes much deeper, searching and healing the wounds of his past.
My birthday was given with the 29th of July 1942, and I am belonging to those people who are neither born at home nor at a hospital, but really on the way my mother took from Berlin to Bad Polzin. So I actually was born at a railway junction point at Schivelbein-Pommern. The only excuse I had for her is really the political background, the political incentives which were given to them at that stage. Initially, it was not the single mistake of a single woman or of a single man to go to the Lebensborn. What I think about my mother, I must tell you that I have the impression that she appears to be a difficult character indeed. I will tell you why. It took about 3 months for her to make up her mind to meet me or not. She did, after her brother has insisted on her, letting her know when your son is looking for you more than 50 years, you should know what to do.
How could something elicit such secrecy and shame among the mothers who gave birth there? The answer is rooted in Heinrich Himmler's ideals about racial purity. During the war, Germans became inundated by propaganda set forth by the Nazis. They started with the children at school. Racially valuable children would be brought in front of the class where their Aryan traits could be used as an example. The length of the earlobe, cranial capacity, eye and hair color were characteristics compared by the teacher. Oftentimes, Students looking Jewish would be used for class discussion on why one was better than the other. Almost everywhere, in posters, movies, and magazines, the Aryan is depicted as physically and morally superior. Heinrich Himmler's SS became the epitome of these features. SS members were required to prove that their Aryan lineage dated back to at least 1800. Due to the Nazi spin on eugenics, these men were also required to prove that there was no Jewish blood in their family tree, as well as no cases of disability or illness. The Nazis felt that those with bad genes, such as the feeble-minded, the handicapped, and the criminal, should be sterilized, or otherwise prevented from passing on those undesirable character traits. This perfect Nazi society ultimately gave Lebensborn the power to provide aid to mothers who were expecting children. It accomplished this by providing safe maternity homes throughout Germany and many other occupied countries, where women could give birth under the protection of the SS. It did not matter if these children were legitimate or not, as long as the racial standards were met. The Lebensborn Society would then place the children in proper German families. Then, even single women could present a patriotic contribution to the future of the race. As World War II ended and the Allied troops spread further into Germany's countryside, the children were often taken and scattered to other homes. In most cases, birth certificates and health records were destroyed as the homes were vacated. For Bernard, his adoptive parents were able to retrieve a few vaccination cards from his birth. It is with these cards that he began the search for his natural mother and father, starting with his name.
So that is indeed the first problem which we have, the name. I have been adopted by my adoptive parents. Their name is Zimmermann, and this name was indeed indicated on two original vaccination cards that I had from the Lebensborn home at Sonnenwiese at Korensalis. That is a place close to Leipzig. And there were, as I told, two documents of this kind. One mentioned the name Zimmermann, and another one mentioned a different name, Herzl. So I'm not quite sure what the reason was for this. It might be that the personnel of the Lebensborn, whether it was father or mother, any tracing was very difficult for me. And this applies also to several other Lebensborn people as well. As all previous endeavors were unsuccessfully, I lived through quite a number of years of being jobless and took this opportunity of trying again to find my own identity. So I asked the German Red Cross at Munich, the Children's Tracing Service.
The German Red Cross had completed their investigation into Lebensborn 20 years before Bernard inquired about his situation. It took the Red Cross International Children's Tracing Service another 3 years to determine that the name Herzl was indeed the name of his mother.
So what the International Tracing Service did was to advise me exactly on my 50th birthday of of the address of mother's brother. I did not know exactly the reason why, but the International Tracing Service passed this request on to me, and I followed this, of course, met there in former East Berlin.
Almost a year after meeting his mother in Berlin, she made the journey to Bendisdorf to see how he was living. Bernard remembers taking a long walk through the woods just beyond his backyard. It was here that he asked her questions that had consumed him for much of his life. It was in these woods that he discovered that he was an only child, and that his mother had not kept in contact with his father. Before she died, the only information Bernard received was that his Christian name was similar to his father's name. Helga also began searching for her roots after the death of her mother in 1990. It was her mother's past that held the link to her early childhood, and eventually to the discovery of a father she never knew.
My mother was in 8 months when she came from Berlin to Munich, and then she went to the Lebensborn home. She got pregnant in June 1940 when the defeat of France was celebrated in Berlin. There was a great 3-day holiday, and she went to be with the Nazis, and I was created. My mother was working with Goebbels, the propaganda chief, and she was very privileged in the Nazi time. And my father was in Paris, and he was privileged too, I think so. And me, the child, I was in Munich. I was living with foster parents nearby Munich, and my mother visited me once a month, and sometimes she gave me in children's home, and she visited me, and I always had a connection to my mother. But Steinhöring was a part of the concentration camp of Dachau, because some men had to work in Steinhöring. Prisoners of Dachau had to work in Steinhöring.
Throughout Bernard's search for his birth parents, he consequently learned about Lebensborn and why it was established by the SS. Although the complete nature of Lebensborn will perhaps never be determined, he has a few theories based on his own personal experience.
I'm by far not inclined saying that the Lebensborn was a a breeding farm or something like that. From documents available in the Federal Archive, it is clearly, there is a clear evidence that this was not the fact, that most of the women were already pregnant as they came into the Lebensborn. Same applies, for example, I told it to my mother. I was born before I came into the Lebensborn.
Searching for the truth has brought Helga and Bernard to many shocking secrets about Lebensborn, as well as about their parents. Still, these are only the stories of 2 children among countless others, over 8,000 born in Germany and over 10,000 in Norway. Most have also learned about their Nazi past, but are still unready to speak publicly about their involvement with Lebensborn. Although they were only children, the shame that is associated with the program still haunts them today. Although both Helga and Bernard were only small children when the Lebensborn program existed, the memories still remain. For Helga, her reconciliation has been through accepting her Nazi past.
The worst memory was that I always was leaved. I think so. Most of the Lebensborn child were leaved. My mother put me to foster parents and left me, and then after a month she came again, and then she left me too, and she put me into a children's home and she left me. That's the worst memory I had.
Even now, Helga refuses to play the role of victim. For years, she has channeled her energy into becoming a cultured woman, enjoying theater, opera, and working in Munich's Historical Film Museum for the past 10 years. Spiritually, Helga values the Buddhist religion, leading her life through its teachings of peace and love.
It's time to see what had happened in that time, and I think I am free to see what had happened 60 years ago. I am ready, yes, it's painful, but it's necessary.
Memories still haunt Bernard from his early childhood. Some of these memories are painful, yet others have amazingly led him to the discovery of his birthplace.
In 1987, I had the first opportunity in my life to visit this place, which at that time was still in the German Democratic Republic, and I visited this place and found it exactly in accordance to my memory, which I had when arriving there as a only 15 months old child. After that, I met on the road an elder lady whom I asked what this building might have been during war times. Then I talked to this lady further and told her that my impression was that I remember that home as a red home, a red house at that time. And today everything is looking gray in gray in the German Democratic Republic, and she right away confirmed, yes, this house was really called the Red House.
As it turned out, Bernard's memory as a 15-month-old child had led him to the home where he had spent much of his childhood. Even more shocking, the elderly woman he spoke with on the street was a nurse who worked within the home and more than likely knew Bernard as a child. Other memories remain as well, including those of constantly being moved from one home to another. As the Allied troops invaded farther into Germany, the children were forced to leave their homes, often walking long distances, and in Bernard's case, giving him strong memories of the horrors of war.
A long foot march from a place near Hamburg to my next place of living. It was about 15 kilometers. What I do remember also is that we went along the rail tracks and to both sides there were soldiers lying, securing the rail track. This is one of the worst memories I have. Up to now. As you have seen from my reaction.
Today, Lebensborn is a distant, sometimes forgotten part of Hitler's Third Reich. Those who were part of the organization have long since passed away, and we are only left with the children and their memories of an establishment so secret few have come forward to tell their stories. Of the thousands of children born through Lebensborn, Helga and Bernard can be considered among the lucky few who have found some peace about their Nazi past. Most of these children never came to know their natural parents, possibly still searching for the impossible.